What's up, writers? Today, we are going to be talking about Everything Will Be Okay. And I know, that was a sad story. But trust me, in our talking about it today, everything will be okay. I mean, it'll be fine. We're not going to talk a lot about that cat dying. I didn't mean to talk about the cat again. I just did. Okay, moving on. Our purpose today is that writers, when they study a text, admire, study, and then emulate in order to really be able to get out of the mentor text what they need to make them a better writer. Let's go. Okay, writers, so we've already admired this text, and now's the time to study this text. So basically, we need to think of the author, James Howe, as being like our teacher. He is going to teach us how to do the things he does. And as I'm reading this, I'm going to read a little section that I circled ahead of time and parts that I highlighted. And I'm going to think, how do I feel when I read this? What is my reaction to it? And what does the author do to make me feel that way? All right, let's look at the story now. Come on, Paul says in his take charge voice. Get that box now. Bring it on in here. He flicks on the light in the waiting room. You're coming in back with me, he commands. I'll need your help. What are you going to do? I ask. I'm holding the box tight against my chest. I feel Smokey moving around inside. What do you think? He says. You heard your mother. That kitten is sick. Bad sick. Now, when I read that passage, I instantly don't like Paul. I think he's a jerk. In fact, I think he's a jerk face. And that means I need to think about why I'm feeling kind of disgusted with him and feeling sorry for James, our main character, our narrator. So let's look back at the text now. I'm noticing that there's this dialogue, and I know it's supposed to sound realistic when the narrator and Paul talk, and it does. Remember, we've talked about sounding realistic. We've talked about realistic dialogue, or exact dialogue. The way, though, that he talks here makes me feel more than just that it's realistic. It makes me feel like he's talking down to his brother, the narrator, that Paul's better than him, that in some ways he almost hates the way that his brother is. And I think the author must have wrote this in this way on purpose. Let's reread a little section so that we can re-examine what that feels like. Come on, get that box now. Bring it in here. What do you think? You heard your mother. Yeah, I think that's it. It's totally his tone, the way that he's talking in this dialogue. He sounds bossy, and then he sounds frustrated and exasperated, why is my brother such an idiot, kind of. So just think, if instead of him saying it the way he did, there was a different tone and it sounded more like this. I know this is hard, really hard for you, Jim, but sometimes when an animal is too sick to get better, the kindest thing we can do is put an end to its suffering. There's no rush. Take a minute to think about this. Do you see how, if that was how this dialogue had been written, either that's a different character that's saying it because we've not seen this from Paul before, or it wouldn't make sense. This tone that is there does make sense. The tone I just read was understanding, empathetic, which means Paul somehow understands what James, the narrator and main character, is going through. But we know that's not the case. So what we can really learn from this is that when we're writing, we need to make sure we allow the character's personality to come through and highlight the meaning of the moment in a bigger way. Right now, let's add that to a new page in our journal. The new page in our journal is titled Lessons from Mentor Narratives, and you can see it now on the screen. Right now, you should copy down in your journal, when characters talk, writers make them say the words and use the tone that shows their personalities and hints at the bigger meaning of the moment. Okay, writers, it's your turn. You're going to look back through the text, and you're going to find more things in the text that make you feel a certain way, and you're going to ask yourself, what did the author do to make me feel the way that I do? You're going to add 2 more things to the Lessons from Mentor Narratives page. I would suggest continuing where we left off and reading that section to see if you can find anything else there. When we share today, I'll share with you the 2 things that I found in the story that so far you haven't seen yet. Those will be added to your Lessons from Mentor Narratives page, and you'll have 2 more that you thought of on your own. Okay, writers, before we come together to share at the end of our time today, here are the things that I'm expecting you to have done. You need to have read back through Everything Will Be Okay and found at least 2 more things that you think are lessons we should take away from the text, and be prepared to share those at the end of today. Once you've finished with that, you should write a new page in your journal. That new page in your journal should be a new story. Hopefully, you can get that done today. If you don't get it done today, then just do it between now and the next time we see each other. In the meantime, happy writing.